The skies above Earth darkened on a quiet Tuesday morning in April. No one saw it coming. The massive Draconian fleet appeared in orbit without any warning. One minute the skies were clear, and the next, thousands of black ships hung in space, like giant dark stars. Each ship was the size of a small city. They were black as night, with strange red lights blinking along their sides. They arranged themselves in a perfect pattern that blocked many stars from view. People around the world could see them even in daylight, dark spots against the blue sky that shouldn't be there. Panic spread quickly. TV shows stopped. Emergency broadcasts began. Phone networks crashed as everyone tried to call their loved ones at once. Radio signals became full of static. The internet slowed to a crawl. Something about the alien ships was messing with all of Earth's communications. Captain Lisa Collins yawned and stretched in her chair. She had been on a boring patrol mission for 3 days. Her ship, the UES Valiant, was small but fast, one of Earth's best defense ships. Her crew of 25 was mostly relaxed, doing routine checks when the emergency alert blared through the ship. "Captain, you need to see this," shouted Sam Riley, her radar operator. His face had gone white. Lisa rushed to his screen and felt her stomach drop. The radar showed thousands of massive objects in Earth orbit. Nothing that big should be there. "All personnel to battle stations," she ordered, keeping her voice calm even though her heart was pounding. "Sensors at maximum power. Let's find out what we're dealing with." Red alert lights flashed throughout the ship. Crew members ran to their positions, strapping into seats and powering up systems. No one spoke much. They were the closest military ship to the alien fleet, just 30 minutes away at full speed. "Bringing main screen online," said Leah Jones, the communications officer. Her hands shook slightly as she typed. The large screen at the front of the bridge showed the view from their front cameras. Lisa felt her breath catch. Thousands of black ships hung against the stars. They were perfectly still, like they were waiting for something. "Are they doing anything?" Lisa asked. "No weapons fired, no movement," reported Sam. "They're just sitting there." "Get us closer but stay at safe distance," Lisa ordered. "And someone get me Earth Command now." At NASA headquarters in Houston, Dr. Alan Murphy was drinking his third coffee of the morning when alarms started blaring. Alan was Earth's best xenolinguist, an expert in theoretical alien languages. For years, people had made jokes about his job. No one was laughing now. Security guards rushed him to an underground room where 30 other scientists and military officials were gathering. The room had screens showing the alien fleet from various Earth telescopes. "What do we know?" Alan asked, taking a seat. General Paul Davis, a stern man with gray hair, shook his head. "Nothing yet. They appeared 12 minutes ago. No warning, no communication." As if on cue, every screen in the room flickered. Strange symbols began to appear, shapes and patterns unlike any human language. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," said a technician. "This message is going out worldwide." Alan leaned forward, studying the symbols. "I need these recorded. All of it." For the next hour, Alan and his team worked frantically. The symbols kept coming in patterns that repeated with slight variations. "It's mathematical," Alan said finally. "They're using math as a foundation for communication." He pointed to a series of symbols. "These represent prime numbers, then planetary orbits, then chemical elements. They're establishing a translation key." As the team worked, more complex messages began to form. Alan's face grew increasingly worried as the translation became clearer. "What is it?" General Davis demanded. Alan looked up, his face pale. "It's an ultimatum. They're calling themselves the Draconian Empire. They're giving us exactly 24 hours to surrender complete control of Earth to them." He paused, swallowing hard. "After that, they say they'll begin destroying major cities from orbit until we comply. According to this, they've conquered 17 other worlds. They call us a primitive, barely worth their notice." The room fell silent. 24 hours to the end of human freedom, maybe the end of human life. In the White House Situation Room, President Kate Winters sat with her advisors. At 47, she was the youngest president in recent history, known for her calm under pressure. That calm was being tested now. "What options do we have?" she asked. Defense Secretary Greg Brown shook his head. "Very few, Madam President. Our most powerful weapons couldn't reach their ships before being intercepted. And if their technology is as advanced as it appears, our weapons might not even damage them." "I won't surrender this planet without a fight," Kate said firmly. "Activate Operation Last Stand." This was the plan no one ever wanted to use, Earth's final defense option. All around the world, hidden bunkers began to power up. Scientists and military leaders moved to secure locations. Nuclear weapons were prepared for possible launch, though everyone knew they would likely be useless. Kate addressed the world in a televised broadcast, her voice steady, despite the fear she felt inside. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began, "today we face our greatest challenge. I ask for calm. I ask for courage. We are exploring all diplomatic options. Please follow emergency guidelines in your area. Stay with your loved ones. Help your neighbors. Today we are not divided by nations or beliefs. We are one human family." What she couldn't say was that behind the scenes, humanity was preparing for what might be its final battle. On the UES Valiant, Captain Lisa Collins had moved her ship to an observation position. They were close enough to see details of the alien ships, but hopefully far enough to retreat if attacked. "Anything from Earth Command?" she asked. "Still working on a response plan," said Leah. "We're to maintain position and observe only." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Joe Martinez was analyzing the alien transmission. Joe was the Valiant's data specialist, with a background in cryptography and mathematics. Something about the alien message bothered him. "Captain," he said slowly, "I think I found something weird in their math." Lisa joined him at his station. "What kind of weird?" Joe pointed to a sequence of numbers. "This part where they describe orbital mechanics. There's an error. It's subtle, but their equation for gravitational interaction doesn't quite match our understanding of physics." "Could it be a translation issue?" Lisa asked. Joe shook his head. "I don't think so. It's like they're using a slightly different version of mathematics than we do. Their understanding of some fundamental principles seems off." "How is that possible if their technology is so advanced?" "I don't know," Joe admitted. "But maybe it's important. Maybe it's a weakness we can use." Lisa looked at the main screen, at the thousands of alien ships threatening her world. A weakness. They needed one desperately, no matter how small. "Send your findings to Earth Command," she ordered. "Mark it high priority for Dr. Murphy's team." As the deadline for humanity's surrender crept closer, this tiny discrepancy might be the only hope they had. The clock was ticking. 11 hours and 43 minutes remained before the Draconians would start destroying Earth cities. In a secure underground room beneath NASA, Lieutenant Joe Martinez paced back and forth. He had flown in on a military jet just 3 hours after discovering the strange math error in the alien message. Dr. Alan Murphy hadn't slept. His eyes were red, and empty coffee cups littered his desk. Together they stared at screens filled with alien symbols and Earth equations. "Show me again," Alan said, rubbing his tired eyes. Joe pointed to a section of the alien message. "Here, when they describe how their ships move through space, the math doesn't add up. They use prime numbers in a pattern that doesn't match our understanding." Alan nodded slowly. "I see it now. It's like they're calculating using slightly different rules. Not wrong exactly, but different." They called in 3 more mathematicians. The room grew hot as they worked, the excitement building. "I think I've got it," said Joe finally. "Their entire system is based on 13 dimensions instead of our understanding of 10 or 11. They've built their math, their science, their whole technology on a different view of how reality works." "Could that matter?" asked General Davis, who had been quietly watching from the corner. Alan looked up, a small spark of hope in his eyes. "It might be the only thing that matters." On the UES Valiant, Captain Lisa Collins received the encrypted message from Earth Command. Her crew gathered around as she read it aloud. "We may have found a weakness. Stand by for instructions. A weakness." It seemed impossible. The Draconian ships were massive and powerful. How could a small difference in math make any difference? "Captain, we're getting a transmission from the International Space Station," reported Leah, her communications officer. Lisa nodded. "Put it through." Commander Frank Powell appeared on screen. The space station was much closer to the alien fleet than any other human structure. His face looked tense. "Captain Collins, are you seeing what we're seeing?" he asked. "What do you mean, Commander?" Frank adjusted his camera to point out a window. The view showed one of the giant black Draconian ships. But something strange was happening. Every few seconds, parts of the ship seemed to flicker, like a bad TV signal. "We've been watching for the past hour," Frank explained. "It happens every 97 seconds exactly. Parts of their ships disappear. Just for a split second, then come back." Lisa leaned closer to the screen. "Disappear? You mean they become invisible?" "No," said Frank. "I mean they're not there. Our instruments show nothing in those spots during the flicker. It's like pieces of their ships temporarily stop existing." This information was immediately sent to Earth Command. Within an hour, a board video conference connected the Valiant, the space station, NASA, and several research labs around the world. Dr. Olivia Grant from MIT joined the call. She was a leading expert in quantum physics, a small woman with bright eyes and quick movements. "I've reviewed the data," she said, "and I have a theory. These ships aren't just using advanced technology. They're partially existing in multiple dimensions at once." The military officers looked confused. Olivia tried to explain in simpler terms. "Think of it like this. A fish lives in water. It moves. Up, down, left, right, forward, backward. That's its world. We live on land and can do the same, plus we understand the concept of depth in water. We see the world differently than the fish." She paused to make sure everyone was following. "The Draconians are like a different kind of creature altogether. They exist in our space, but also partially in other dimensions we can barely detect. That's how they travel between stars so quickly. They don't just move through our space, they take shortcuts through other dimensions." Captain Lisa frowned. "But what about the flickering?" "That's the key," Olivia said, excitement in her voice. "Their dimensional shifting isn't perfect. They have to constantly adjust to stay anchored in our reality. And the mathematical error Lieutenant Martinez found suggests they don't fully understand how our dimension works. They've been using a flawed model." A spark of hope began to grow. If the aliens didn't perfectly understand our universe, maybe that was a weakness humans could use. Scientists around the world began working on a plan. Radio telescopes normally used to study distant stars were repurposed. Particle accelerators shifted from research to a new mission. Military radar systems were recalibrated. The goal? Create a precisely timed wave of energy that would interfere with the Draconians' dimensional anchoring. If they couldn't stay fully in our dimension, they couldn't attack Earth. In the White House, President Kate Winters listened as the plan was explained. General William Carter, her top military advisor, didn't look convinced. "Let me get this straight," he said gruffly. "We can't fight these aliens with weapons. We can't outrun them, so instead we're going to..." "What? Give them bad math problems?" "Doctor," Grant shook her head. "Not exactly, General. We're going to show them that their understanding of our reality is wrong. Their ships are like boats designed for a different ocean. They work fine in their home waters, but our ocean has different currents, different rules. We're going to amplify those differences until their boats can't stay afloat here." President Kate studied the faces on her screen. "Will this hurt them?" "We don't know," Alan admitted. "They might be destroyed. They might be sent back to wherever they came from. Or they might just be pushed fully into another dimension, unable to affect our world anymore." Kate took a deep breath. "How fast can we be ready?" 8 hours to set up the global network, Olivia said. "But we only get one shot at this. If it fails..." No one needed to finish the sentence. "If it failed, Earth would burn." "Do it," Kate ordered. "And pray it works." Around the world, people huddled in their homes watching the skies. Most didn't know about the plan. They only knew that strange ships were threatening their world, and time was running out. In orbit, Captain Lisa received new orders. The Valiant would need to move closer to the alien fleet. They would carry special equipment to help boost the dimensional interference signal. It would be dangerous, practically a suicide mission. "Any questions?" she asked her crew after explaining the mission. Sam, her radar operator, raised his hand. "Just one, Captain. When do we start?" Lisa smiled. This was why she loved her crew. Facing impossible odds, they were still ready to fight. "We launch in 30 minutes, she said. "Let's go save the world." As preparations continued, Joe Martinez kept studying the alien messages. Something about their math still bothered him. It wasn't just different. It felt strangely familiar, like something he had seen in theoretical physics papers. What if they're not just from another part of space? He wondered aloud. What if they're from another version of reality altogether? The question hung in the air as humanity prepared its most desperate defense plan ever. The plan had a name now: Operation Dimensional Dissonance. With just 6 hours before the Draconian deadline, humans around the world prepared for their one chance to save Earth. Dr. Olivia Grant explained the final details to President Kate and other world leaders on a secure video call. "We'll create a special kind of wave that will affect the way the alien ships connect to our dimension. Think of it like playing a very loud, specific note that makes a glass break. We're going to hit the exact frequency that disrupts their ships." One by one, facilities around the world reported they were ready. The giant radio telescope in Puerto Rico, CERN's particle accelerator in Switzerland, NASA's Deep Space Network, military radar stations across 6 continents, hundreds of smaller transmitters on buildings and vehicles. Everything that could send a signal into space was being used. Power grids strained as electricity was redirected to the effort. In many cities, lights dimmed as power was diverted to the transmitters. "We're seeing rolling blackouts across Europe and North America," reported Greg Brown, the defense secretary. "People are scared, but they're holding together." Kate nodded. "Tell them what's happening. Everyone deserves to know we're fighting back." A simple message went out to news stations worldwide. "Earth is launching a coordinated defense. Please, remain calm and conserve power." In orbit, the UES Valiant moved into position. Captain Lisa Collins checked the special equipment installed on her ship, a device that would help focus and strengthen the dimensional interference wave. Her ship would be dangerously close to the alien fleet when everything started. Final. "Systems check," she ordered. Her crew moved with practiced efficiency despite their fear. "Dimensional resonator at full charge," reported Leah. "Shields at maximum," added Sam. Lisa took a deep breath. "Maintain position. We wait for Earth Command's signal." The International Space Station had been transformed. Most of its scientific equipment was now part of the interference network. Commander Frank Powell and his 5 crew members worked in their bulky spacesuits since they had turned off life support to save power for the transmitters. "Oxygen at 4 hours remaining," Frank noted. "Let's hope this doesn't take too long." At exactly 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the signal went out from the White House. "Execute Operation Dimensional Dissonance." Across the planet, the transmitters activated simultaneously. They sent no ordinary radio signals, but carefully calculated waves designed to interfere with the dimensional stability of the Draconian ships. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The alien fleet remained motionless in orbit. "Are we sure this is working?" General Carter asked, staring at the screens showing no change. "The wave needs time to build," Dr. Grant explained. "It's rippling through space right now. Give it a few minutes." 3 minutes passed. 4. 5. Then on the screens they saw it. The nearest Draconian ship began to shimmer slightly. The effect was subtle at first, a slight wavering like heat rising from hot pavement. "It's working." Dr. Grant leaned forward, eyes wide. "Their dimensional anchoring is starting to destabilize." The response came quickly. From the lead Draconian ship, a bright beam of energy shot toward Earth. It struck a radio telescope in Australia, destroying it instantly. Then another beam hit a transmitter in South Africa. Then more beams, striking targets around the world. "They know what we're doing," said General Carter grimly. "They're targeting our transmitters." People died as the energy beams hit. A research station in Canada, a radar facility in Brazil, a satellite control center in Japan. The casualties mounted as the Draconians tried to stop the interference. But Lieutenant Joe Martinez, watching from NASA, noticed something. "They're only hitting the most visible transmitters," he said, "the ones with obvious dishes or antennas. They can't tell which ones are actually causing the problem." This observation led to a quick change in strategy. Decoy transmitters were activated, obvious targets that weren't actually important to the dimensional interference. Meanwhile, the truly effective ones were disguised or shielded. On the Valiant, Captain Lisa watched as energy beams sliced through space around her ship. "Evasive maneuvers," she ordered. Her pilot, Ryan Cooper, moved the ship in an unpredictable pattern, barely avoiding the deadly beams. "Captain," called Sam from his sensor station, "I'm seeing changes in the Draconian ships. Their power signatures are fluctuating wildly." The dimensional interference was growing stronger. On screens around the world, people could see the effect. The alien ships were vibrating visibly now, their perfect black surfaces beginning to distort like reflections in troubled water. From the main Draconian ship, a new signal came through. Dr. Alan Murphy translated it quickly. "They're ordering us to stop," he said. "They're threatening to destroy major cities if we don't shut down all transmitters immediately." President Kate's face hardened. "Increase power to all transmitters. Push harder." It was a terrible gamble. If the plan failed, millions would die in the Draconian retaliation. But if they backed down now, all of humanity would eventually be enslaved or destroyed. Around the world, power systems strained to their limits. In some places, transformers exploded from the load. Engineers worked frantically to reroute power, to keep the transmitters running just a little longer. On the International Space Station, warning alarms blared. "We're overloading!" shouted Frank. "The main transmitter is going to blow in about 2 minutes." "Can you keep it running that long?" asked Earth Command. Frank looked at his crew. They nodded. "We'll keep it running," he promised. The dimensional interference reached critical levels. The first dramatic change appeared in a mid-sized Draconian ship near the edge of the fleet. Its hull began to stretch and twist in impossible ways, parts of it extending and contracting like it was being pulled by invisible forces. "What's happening to them?" asked President Kate, watching the strange sight. "Their ships exist in multiple dimensions at once," explained Dr. Grant. "We're disrupting the connection between those dimensions. It's like a rubber band being stretched too far. Eventually it has to snap." The stretching and distortion spread to more ships. Some of the smaller Draconian vessels began firing wildly, their weapons hitting other alien ships as their targeting systems failed. In orbit, Lisa Collins received new orders. "Valiant, this is Earth Command. Move to coordinates 227 by 184 and activate your resonator at full power. Target the command ship." Lisa looked at the coordinates on her screen. They would put the Valiant less than 10 miles from the massive Draconian command ship, the center of the alien fleet. "That's almost certainly a one-way trip," said her first officer, Ben Harris, quietly. "I know," Lisa replied, "but we have to try." She straightened in her chair. "Set course for the target coordinates. Prepare to activate the resonator on my command." The Valiant turned and accelerated toward the heart of the Draconian fleet, ready to deliver the final push that might save humanity, even at the cost of their own lives. The UES Valiant raced toward the massive Draconian command ship. Energy beams sliced through space around them, some missing by mere feet. Inside the ship, warning alarms blared constantly. "Shields at 64% and dropping," reported Sam, his voice tight with stress. Captain Lisa Collins gripped her chair arms. "Stay on course, we need to get closer." The special device installed on the Valiant, the dimensional resonator, needed to be within 10 miles of the Draconian command ship to work properly. 8 more miles to go. 7, 6. "Enemy targeting systems locking on us," warned Leah. "Evasive pattern Delta," ordered Lisa. The ship lurched sideways as Ryan, the pilot, executed a sharp turn. A bright red energy beam passed so close it lit up the bridge through the viewports. Back on Earth, people watched on screens as the first Draconian ship completely destabilized. It wasn't destroyed in an explosion or fire. Instead, the massive black vessel stretched impossibly, parts of it seeming to reach in multiple directions at once. Then with a brief flash of purple light, it simply disappeared. "What happened to it?" President Kate asked, staring at the screen. Dr. Olivia Grant studied her instruments. "It's gone from our dimension," she said softly, almost not believing it herself. "The dimensional interference pushed it completely out of phase with our reality." "Is it destroyed?" General Carter wanted to know. "Not exactly," Olivia replied. "It's somewhere else, another plane of existence, another dimension, somewhere we can't see or touch." The effect spread. A second Draconian ship began to distort, then a third. The aliens responded with desperate fury. Hundreds of energy weapons fired simultaneously at Earth, causing massive damage. Buildings fell, fires burned, people died. But the attack was becoming less coordinated. The Draconian ships were having trouble staying in position as the dimensional wave affected them more and more. Lieutenant Joe Martinez noticed something on his screens. "They're trying to leave," he said. "Look, the ships on the outer edges are attempting to engage their drive systems." It was true. Some of the Draconian vessels were trying to escape, to flee back to wherever they had come from. But their engines were malfunctioning under the strain of the dimensional interference. Instead of smooth departures, they jerked and stuttered, in space, unable to break free. On the Valiant, Lisa and her crew had reached their position. They were now less than 8 miles from the command ship, close enough to use their resonator. "Activate the resonator," Lisa ordered. "Full power." Ben Harris, her first officer, hesitated for just a moment. "Captain, at this range, the feedback could damage our own ship." Lisa nodded. "I know. Do it anyway." Ben pressed the activation sequence. The ship hummed as the device powered up. On the main screen, they could see the massive Draconian command ship. It was easily 1,000 times larger than the Valiant, a city-sized vessel of black metal and red lights. "Resonator at maximum output," reported Ben. Dimensional wave focused on the command ship. The effect was immediate. The command ship began to shimmer, its surface rippling like water. Then, unexpectedly, the Valiant received a transmission from it. "They're hailing us," said Leah in surprise. "Put it through," Lisa ordered. The message wasn't in words or pictures. Instead, it was a series of mathematical equations, complex formulas flowing across the screen. "What are they trying to tell us?" asked Ryan. "Get this to Earth immediately," Lisa said. "Dr. Murphy needs to see this." At NASA, Alan Murphy received the transmission. He studied it with growing excitement. "This is incredible," he told the others. "They're not threatening us anymore. They're asking questions. They want to understand what's happening to them." President Kate considered this information. The Draconians had threatened to destroy Earth just hours ago. Now they were asking for help? What exactly are they asking? She wanted to know. "They're trying to understand our mathematical models," Alan explained. "The ones that describe how dimensions work in our universe. It's like they've suddenly realized their own understanding is flawed, and they want our version." Kate made a difficult decision. Send them the correct formulas. Show them where their understanding is wrong. "Are you sure?" General Carter asked. "This could give them the knowledge to resist our attack. Or it could help them understand us," Kate replied. "Either way, we show them who we really are." The mathematical formulas were transmitted to the Draconian command ship, but it was too late for them to use the information. The dimensional interference had reached its peak. The command ship began to distort dramatically, stretching in impossible ways. The massive vessel seemed to fold in on itself, parts of it extending into spaces that human eyes couldn't properly see or understand. Then, with a flash of purple, light much brighter than the others, it vanished completely. One by one, the remaining Draconian ships followed. Some fought against it, firing weapons until the last moment. Others seemed to accept their fate, shutting down systems before they disappeared. Within 20 minutes of the command ship's vanishing, The last Draconian vessel faded from Earth's dimension. The sky was empty again. The threat was gone. On the Valiant, the crew cheered, but their celebration was cut short by a series of explosions within their own ship. "The resonator is overloading," shouted Ben. "Power systems failing." "Engines offline," added Ryan. "We're dead in space." Lisa accessed the damage reports. Their ship was severely damaged. Life support was failing. They had maybe an hour of air left. "Send our coordinates to Earth Command," she ordered calmly. "And tell them we did it. Earth is safe." At NASA, the message came through. "The Valiant is stranded," a technician reported. "They're requesting immediate rescue." "Get shuttles up there now," ordered General Carter. "Those people are heroes. I want them home." Around the world, the news spread. The alien fleet was gone. Earth had survived. Celebrations began despite the damage and casualties. People hugged strangers in the streets. Church bells rang. In times of darkness, humanity had found a way to fight back against impossible odds. But questions remained. What had happened to the Draconians? Were they destroyed, or just displaced to another dimension? And what about the final transmission they had sent? The request to understand Earth's mathematics? In the White House, President Kate watched the rescue ships launch toward the Valiant. "We need to understand what really happened today," she told her advisors. "And we need to be ready in case they ever find a way back." Dr. Grant nodded. "The knowledge we've gained about dimensional physics will change everything. Our understanding of the universe just took a giant leap forward." "And that final message from the Draconians," added Dr. Murphy. "It wasn't just mathematical questions. There was something else. Coordinates to 17 star systems. I think they were telling us where to find the other civilizations they claim to have conquered." Kate's eyes widened slightly. "You think those other worlds might still exist? In other dimensions?" "It's possible," Alan said. "Maybe the Draconians weren't lying about conquering them. Maybe those civilizations disappeared just like the Draconians did when they encountered us. Maybe they're all trapped in dimensional limbo." The implications were staggering. Not only had Earth survived, but they might have accidentally discovered a way to find and potentially rescue other worlds. As rescue ships approached the damaged Valiant, Captain Lisa Collins looked out at the stars. Something had changed today. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and survived not through superior firepower, but through understanding the universe in ways their enemies could not. Whatever came next, Earth would never be the same. 3 weeks after the Draconians vanished, the world was still recovering. Damaged buildings were being fixed. Memorial services honored those who had died fighting the alien threat. But alongside the grief, there was a new feeling in the air, hope mixed with wonder. Captain Lisa Collins stood by a hospital window, her arm in a cast. The Valiant's crew had been rescued just in time. Their ship was too damaged to save, but all hands had survived. They were heroes now, their faces on television and in newspapers around the world. "Captain Collins?" A nurse appeared at the door. "You have visitors." Dr. Alan Murphy and Dr. Olivia Grant entered the room. They both looked tired but excited. "We've made a breakthrough," Alan said without preamble. "The final transmission from the Draconians, we've decoded all of it." Lisa sat up straighter. "What did they say?" "They gave us complete star maps," Olivia explained. "Not just of their empire, but of all 17 civilizations they claim to have conquered." Alan spread some papers on Lisa's bed. "More importantly, we now understand what really happened to the Draconians. They weren't conquerors, at least not how we thought. They were refugees." "Refugees?" Lisa was confused. "From what?" "From dimensional instability," said Olivia. "Their homeworld experienced the same kind of dimensional shift that we caused with our interference wave. It happened naturally there, and they barely escaped. They've been running ever since, searching for a stable reality." "And the other 17 civilizations?" Lisa asked. "It seems they didn't conquer them at all," Alan replied. "Each time the Draconians arrived at a new world, they accidentally brought their dimensional instability with them." One by one, those civilizations disappeared, shifted into other dimensional planes, just like what happened here. But Earth was different. We understood enough about dimensional physics to turn their weakness back on them. President Kate Winters called a special meeting of the United Nations 1 month after the vanishing. The world's leaders gathered to hear her proposal. Today, we stand at a crossroads, she began. The Draconian threat is gone, but we've gained something precious: knowledge. We now understand more about the universe than ever before, and with that knowledge comes responsibility. She unveiled a bold new plan: the formation of an international space exploration program focused on dimensional physics. Its first mission would be to visit the worlds in the Draconian database to see if there was any way to rescue the civilizations trapped in dimensional limbo. We will need our brightest minds and bravest hearts, Kate said. This will be humanity's greatest journey. 6 months later, the first ship designed with the new dimensional understanding was ready. Named the UES Hope, it was larger than the Valiant and incorporated technology reverse-engineered from Draconian data. Its mission: to travel to the nearest star system in the database and attempt to make contact with any beings trapped in dimensional shift. Captain Lisa Collins was given command. Her crew included many familiar faces, along with Dr. Murphy as Chief Science Officer. As they prepared to depart, Lisa addressed them on the bridge. "What we're attempting has never been done before," she said. "We're not just exploring space, we're exploring realities beyond our own. We go not as conquerors, but as rescuers and friends." Dr. Grant, who would lead the Earth-based research team, gave Lisa a small device before departure. "This will help you detect dimensional anomalies," she explained. "If there are survivors out there, this should help you find them." As the UES Hope prepared to leave orbit, President Kate spoke to them from Earth. "You carry with you the hopes of not just our world, but potentially many others. Remember what we learned. Sometimes our greatest strength isn't our technology or weapons, but our understanding, our perspective." The ship's engines hummed to life. The stars beckoned. "Course set," said Ryan from the pilot's seat. "Ready when you are, Captain." Lisa looked at her crew. Humans who had faced extinction and emerged stronger. Whatever wonders or dangers waited among the stars, they would face them together. "Let's bring them home," she said simply. "Engage." The UES Hope accelerated away from Earth, carrying humanity's best and brightest toward the unknown. Behind them, a changed world watched and waited, knowing that the universe was stranger and more wonderful than they had ever imagined.